Disney's Lady and the Tramp. There was once a young dog called Lady. She lived very happily with her owners, Darling and Jim Dear. When Lady grew up, they gave her a collar with a name tag. Lady proudly showed her collar to her friends Jock and Trusty. "She's a full-grown lady," said Jock. Some other dogs weren't as fortunate as Lady. One of these was called Tramp. He lived on the streets, living off scraps and helping his friends escape the dog catcher. One day, Tramp overheard Lady saying that Jim Dear and Darling were expecting a baby. "What's a baby?" Lady asked. "A home wrecker, that's what," said Tramp. Lady's happy life was about to change. A little while later, when Jim Dear and Darling decided to take a trip, Aunt Sarah came to look after the baby. Her 2 Siamese cats came too. Aunt Sarah was not very nice to Lady. Her 2 cats were not very nice either. They made a mess of the house and pretended that Lady caused the trouble. "Oh, that wicked animal," cried Aunt Sarah. Aunt Sarah took Lady straight to the pet shop. "I want a good strong muzzle," Aunt Sarah said. The muzzle scared Lady. She jumped off the counter and ran out of the door, not knowing where she was going. Lady ran and ran. Soon some big mean dogs started to chase her. Lady was scared and ran into an alley. Luckily, Tramp heard all the barking and raced to Lady's rescue. "Oh, poor kid," said Tramp, looking at Lady's muzzle. "We've got to get this thing off. Come on." Tramp took Lady to the zoo. Maybe one of the animals could help her. The apes, the alligator, and the hyena were no help at all. Then Lady and Tramp found the beaver. He loved to chew and soon bit right through the muzzle strap. "It's off," Lady said with relief. The beaver was happy too. He could use the muzzle as a handy-dandy log puller. Lady and Tramp thanked the beaver and left the zoo together. With Lady free from her muzzle, Tramp took her to supper at Tony's restaurant. Tramp's friend Tony liked Lady and fed the pair his speciality, spaghetti with meatballs. Tramp and Lady accidentally picked up the same piece of spaghetti. The next thing they knew, they were kissing. Lady and Tramp were falling in love. They went to watch the moon rise over the city. The next morning on the way home, Lady and Tramp passed a chicken coop. "Ever chased chickens?" Tramp asked. He could never resist and quickly dug his way inside the coop. Lady did not like the idea, but she followed him anyway. The chickens ran around the yard, squawking and squealing. "Hey, what's going on in there?" asked the farmer. Lady and Tramp ran away as fast as they could, but Tramp soon discovered that Lady wasn't behind him. She had been caught by the dog catcher and taken to the dog pound. Lady was scared to be at the dog pound, but after the dog catcher read her collar, he knew where to take her. "You're too nice a girl to be in this place," he said, and returned Lady to Aunt Sarah. At home, Aunt Sarah chained Lady to the doghouse in the garden. Lady was so sad. Even Jock and Trusty could not cheer her up. Then Tramp arrived. Lady was angry with him. She thought Tramp had only looked out for himself and had let her get caught. He tried to explain. "I thought you were right behind me, honest." "Goodbye, and take this with you," Lady said, returning a bone that Tramp had given her. Just then, Lady saw a rat creeping into the baby's room. She couldn't chase it because of the chain. She could only bark. "Stop that," Aunt Sarah called. "Hush!" But Tramp heard and rushed back to Lady. "What is it?" Tramp asked. "A rat in the baby's room," Lady replied. Tramp ran into the house and saw the rat. He had to catch that rat before it hurt the baby. Meanwhile, Lady was barking with all her might and pulling on the heavy chain. At last, the chain broke free from the doghouse. Lady ran inside to help Tramp. Tramp had chased the rat under the baby's cot and accidentally knocked it over, making the baby cry. But Lady was happy because the baby was safe. Tramp had finally caught the rat. However, Aunt Sarah was not at all happy. The baby's crying had woken her up, and she had found Lady and Tramp in his room. She thought they were hurting the baby. Aunt Sarah called the dog catcher to come for Tramp. The dog catcher soon arrived and put Tramp in his wagon. Just then, Jim Dear and Darling came home. Lady tried to explain what had happened. She lifted the curtain to show that Tramp had caught the rat and saved the baby. Jock and Trusty had a plan to stop the dog catcher's wagon. They barked loudly, scaring the horses. The wagon crashed and Tramp was saved. Jim Dear and Lady found him and took him back to their home. The next Christmas Eve, Jock and Trusty came by to see Lady, Tramp, and their 4 new puppies. "They've got their mother's eyes," said Trusty. "Oh, there's a bit of their father in them too," said Jock, watching a mischievous little grey puppy. Everyone was happy that Tramp had become a part of the family. The end.